To sit here and go through this again, and to hear them claim in their defense that I don't have any right to privacy, is disgusting. They have made my wife's life an absolute misery, my lord.
Breaking today, a devastating moment for Prince Harry's reputation and credibility, as he argues with a judge while in the dock, contradicts himself, appears to fib about using the pseudonym Mr. Mischief to contact journalists like Charlotte Griffiths on Facebook, speaks more about concern for his ex-girlfriends Chelsy, Davy and Cressida Bonas than current wife Meghan Markle, and then nearly breaks down before leaving the stand.
I've never believed that my life is open season to be commercialized by these people. To act in the public interest is to interest the public. I fundamentally reject that. Having my life, like others, commercialized in this way since I was a teenager, delving into every aspect of my private life, listening to calls, blagging flights so they could see where I was going. It was a time when everyone was in competition with each other. To sit here and go through this again, and to hear them claim in their defense that I don't have any right to privacy, is disgusting. They have made my wife's life an absolute misery, my lord.
And that's when he choked up. So, we've got exclusive outspoken AI recreations of Prince Harry's most shocking moments in the dock, and from his witness statement today, you won't get that anywhere else. And analysis from Tom Sykes of the Royalist Substack, who was in the High Court today for every word of the bombshell evidence. UK royal PR expert Lauren the Insider, and US royal YouTube sensation P-Dina. Now, there were so many extraordinary moments, and actually, we'll get to Tom in just one moment. But first, I want to show you when arrogant and pig-headed Harry started arguing with the judge. This was just part of their exchange.
Part of Mr. White's job is to put allegations to you. This is a big moment. You're doing exactly what lots of litigants do. You tend to argue back about what he is putting to you. You don't have to bear the burden of arguing the case today that's for Mr. Sherborne.
I had a bad experience with Mr. Green.
You can simply say, I don't accept that, or I don't know about that.
I am intent on you not having a bad experience with me, but it is my job to ask you these questions.
Tom Sykes, an extraordinary day, a historic day, but it seemed like Prince Harry entered the witness box intent on being a little asshole. And the judge wasn't happy, was he? What went down in court?
So I think what happened, Dan, and it's great to be here, and I'm loving the AI recreations. They're fabulous. Congratulations to your graphics team. Although the voice is slightly plummier, I have to say. Okay, so what happened was that Associated did a kind of very sneaky move yesterday, and having said that they needed 1.5 days to lay out their case, then they actually laid it out in half an hour, which meant that Harry's evidence came forward a day. So Harry originally wasn't meant to be giving evidence until tomorrow. Now, I think it scrambled him a bit. He seemed uneasy from the moment he arrived. He didn't really settle properly in the witness box, and he came in, and Anthony White very cleverly immediately got him onto this thing of being part of the institution. And right from the off, Harry was on the defensive and very bristly and very abrasive. And the judge intervened 3 times to try and calm him down. I mean, the first time, which was the one that you showed there, he was actually quite sympathetic, and he was quite like, look, this is my job. I understand that this is a big moment for you, but you're making a mistake that a lot of people make. Let me just tell you, your job now is just to answer these questions. Let your legal team answer the case. And Harry seemed to kind of go, okay, my lord, yeah, whatever. Then he carried on. Then he did it again. And then he did it a third time. And it was really bad the third time. So This was in a question about Natalie Pinkham, who the Mail said that Katie Nicholl had called up Natalie Pinkham to ask her for a comment. She had given a comment, and then Katie had subsequently described her as a source. And Harry was basically saying, look, it's a different use of the term a source. You know, when people say a source, they assume that means some sort of insider who's speaking secretly or privately or what have you. And the judge was like, yeah, look, I'm a media lawyer, mate. I understand what a source is. I understand what you're saying. I understand the difference between a confidential source and someone who's been called up by the journalist and asked for a comment. But Harry, it was so crazy. It was like he couldn't accept it. And he started going to the judge, yeah, but Associated are just trying to strip all the colour out of it. And the judge was like, listen, I am a media lawyer. This is my job. I know what I'm talking about. Pipe down, you know. And it was interesting when Harry came back after lunch. I think he'd clearly been given a cup of chamomile tea and told to behave himself. And he was much more normal and balanced after lunch. But it was, you know, they often use this word striking in court. And I have to say it was very striking how, you know, Harry kind of just seemed to completely lose it. And then, you know, he kept going, well, I'm very upset. I'm very upset and all this kind of stuff. And so it was kind of bizarre. And I felt that actually what Associated had done very cleverly by shifting his testimony forward a day was knock him off balance. And I think that the thing is that this case is so fractional. You know, really, it's coming down to a couple of stories. It's really the real one that I think Associated have got a problem with is the flights, right? So they blag information from a PI called Mike Baer, who tells them what flight Cressida is on, not Cressida, Chelsy, and even says she's in seat 16A, the seat next to her is empty. Why don't you plant somebody into it? You know, clearly pitching himself for the job, I would think. Now, the email trail goes cold then, and a lot of this wasn't actually disclosed by ANL, but was actually disclosed in the news group. So there's a copy of the payment trail to this guy, Mike Baer, because another email went out to a Sun journalist who you'll know, Dan, called Duncan Larkham, saying, oh, I understand, you know, that you and Rebecca have agreed to split the costs on this one. And what we're looking at here, you've got to remember, this is a civil trial, right? So it's not beyond reasonable doubt. It is, does the judge think it's probable that story one, story two, there are 14 stories in all, does the judge think it's probable that these stories are the fruits of unlawfully gathered information? That's basically the question.
But the point is, it is the judge alone who makes this decision. So Harry, acting like an entitled little brat on the stand, is not just bad news for his own case. It's bad news for Elton John and David Furnish and Sadie Frost and Elizabeth Hurley and all of the other celebrities. And look, we are going to, by the way, today show you some of the evidence that Harry presented in regards to Chelsy Davy, Cressida Bonas, Rebecca English, Charlotte Griffiths, Katie Nicholl. We've got it all. We've got these recreations coming. But before we get there, I think probably what was most disgusting is yet again, Harry decided to use a court case, which already poses so many issues for King Charles, to take digs at the British royal family, at the institution of which he is a part. Watch.
Tell us that you were aware of some, but not all, of the 14 articles that you complain of in these proceedings at the time they were published.
Yes.
You did not complain, and no complaint was made on your behalf.
Not that I am aware of.
That is because you believed at the time that the articles were published, insofar as you saw them, that the information they contained came from legitimate sources.
To a certain extent, but I would not have been able to complain about them anyway because of the institution I was in. It would have been very difficult. Never complain and never explain.
P-Dina, where does he get off? Where does he get off using a court case like this to yet again attack the royal family? Now, I would argue, P-Dina, if you look at the past 5 years that Harry has had in the United States, it proves why he was so well protected by the British royal family, who once again he is attacking. I think it's really sick.
Today proved to be a devastating moment for Prince Harry's credibility, as he faced intense questioning in court during his high-profile case against the Daily Mail. Observers noted tense exchanges with the judge, apparent contradictions in his testimony, and renewed scrutiny over the alleged use of the pseudonym Mr. Mischief to contact journalists, including Charlotte Griffiths. What shocked many in the courtroom was Harry's emotional focus on former girlfriends Chelsy, Davy and Cressida Bonas, while barely referencing his wife, Meghan Markle. As pressure mounted, witnesses described him as visibly shaken, appearing close to breaking down before stepping away from the stand. This special edition features AI recreations of key courtroom moments, alongside exclusive analysis from Tom Sykes of the Royalist Substack, Lauren the Insider, and royal YouTube sensation P-Dina, offering insight you won't hear from the mainstream media. Subscribe now for uncensored royal court coverage, hit like if you're following the case closely, and share your verdict in the comments. Did today damage Prince Harry's case, or reveal the human cost of this trial?